What is a shareholders agreement and what should you include in your shareholders agreement to avoid legal issues? In this video, we'll discuss what is the shareholders agreement, but make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out what is the difference between this kind of agreement and the articles of association. If you're new, I'm Malcolm Zoppi, an English qualified solicitor, and I help UK SMEs with their corporate and commercial legal needs. So what is a shareholders agreement? In short, it is a legally binding contract that is signed by the shareholders of a company and sometimes the company itself. As you will know, the shareholders, also known as the members of a company, are the true owners. They own shares, meaning parts of that company. The contract will detail a few key things, including, for example, the obligations that the shareholders have towards the company. It is important to keep in mind that the shareholders agreement is a private document and therefore it is not published on Companies House, the public register that anyone could access. This is unlike the articles of association, which are indeed published on Companies House and therefore not private. Now, before we discuss what you might want to consider including in your shareholders agreement, feel free to send me an email if looking for professional legal advice. Great, so what are some of the things that you might want to consider including in your agreement? Number one, the fact that shareholders should not compete with the company. Second, the kinds of decisions that are reserved for the shareholders to vote on. And third, related to this, the definition of shareholder approval. So, certain decisions will require shareholder approval, but how do we define this? There are two main approaches that we can take. The first approach is to define shareholder approval as more than 50% of all voting shares of the company. The second option is to define it as more than 50% of the voting shares that are present at a general meeting. The second option is better if you want to incentivize all shareholders of the company to come out and actually attend general meetings of the shareholders and vote. If instead you decide to adopt the first approach, where you count all of the shares of the company at any time, whether they are attending the meeting or not, that makes the threshold of the 50% harder to attain, because it is entirely possible that certain shareholders decide or are unable to attend a meeting, and therefore they would be counted as being against the decisions that are proposed. Now you have a pretty good understanding of what a shareholders agreement is. Let's say that you included different provisions in your shareholders agreement that conflict with the articles of association, which is entirely possible. Which document is going to override which? Well, to find out, watch this video right here.